Welcome. It's your man, God of Dots, back with another episode of the Audible. Y'all gotta excuse me. The brother is a bit rusty. It has been a good and productive week. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, man. Had a safe holiday, came here in one piece. Good and all that other stuff, man. Looking forward to the new year. So looking forward to the new year, new things, new beginnings, and we're working on that. Let me give shout out to those who made themselves known. What's going on, Mark? As always, salute. Hey, happy holidays to you and the fam. Miss Murray here, here early to gloat while I can. I can dig it. I hope you had a very good Christmas, man. Hope everybody had a happy holiday, man. Brother took some time off, kind of dibble and dabbled, and was working on some stuff when I got back in town, but had a good time. How you doing, Dr. Nick? How you doing? Y'all let me know. I got some music playing in the background. I just, I'm tweaking stuff, adding a little stuff to the mix, just trying to to change up the show. Working on some stuff, man. Working on stuff, brother. Stay busy, brother. Stay busy. Let's get into it. Not gonna hold you too much. We're gonna go over a recap of last week's game since I was not here Tuesday. Hey, man, celebrating the holidays, so I just had a time to sit back and enjoy it. And I was out of town, so it is what it is. We're gonna talk about last week's games. Go over those briefly. And then we're gonna move forward to this week's games because this playoff race is winding down. People are fighting for position, and we got some big games coming up this week. Let's go ahead and start with the news of the day. You saw the thumbnail. I'm gonna kind of get this out of the way, get my commentary on this. You've been living under a rock. You've heard the news by now. The Denver Broncos have decided to sit and in essence, let's go ahead and call it what it is, or prematurely cut Russell Wilson. He will be sitting for the last two games of the season with the team, holding out a slim chance of making the playoffs in that competitive AFC. The team decided to go ahead and sit Russell Wilson, and let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a beat. It's all money motivated. I kind of saw this coming, especially if he didn't improve his performance over last season. Last season was one of his worst in the league. This season has been a little bit better. Hasn't been electrifying, but it has been a little bit better. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm kind of surprised that they chose to sit him. But, when you kind of look at the particulars of his deal, I get it. You bring in a new head coach, Sean Payton. Russell Wilson was not his guy. Russell Wilson signed a big contract when he got traded over from Seattle Seahawks. I want to say 5 years, $240 million. A lot of that guaranteed money. Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. I think that was a wise decision. He's not Sean Payton's choice of quarterback. The offense has not performed particularly well. Like when you really kind of look at how they perform in the red zone, when you look at how they perform as far as third down efficiency, it just has not happened. And when you have the talent that they do have on the offensive side of the ball, I know I spent a lot of time talking about the Denver Broncos, talking about their defense, and rightfully so, but they do have one of the better offensive lines in the league, young running backs, and still fairly young wide receivers. And it just, when you watch the Denver Broncos play, it's been a struggle watching them offensively. It has been a struggle watching them offensively. And with 2 games left in the season, your team's not making the playoffs, and you don't want to risk Russell Wilson getting hurt. And the reason why you don't want him getting hurt, he does have a kicker in his contract that, if he ends up being hurt, then he's guaranteed, I want to say $20-some million in addition to what he's scheduled to make. What's going on, brother? In addition to what he's scheduled to make next season, he's going to get. I don't feel sorry for Russell Wilson. Let's stop there. I'm not going to feel sorry for Russell Wilson. He is due to make about $35 to $39 million next year, whether he plays with the Broncos or not. That's guaranteed money. That's cash money he's going to be getting. It's the right move for Denver. Go ahead, cut your losses. Yeah, it is a big loss when we're talking about the amount of dead cap moving forward that's still remaining on his contract. We're talking about $85 million. It's got to be spread out over the next 2 years. And those who are not up to date on how the salary cap kind of works. When you have dead money like that, that's not money that you can really spend. That's money that's still allocated to that player, and it counts against the cap. So the Denver Broncos, unless they're able to catch one of the top four quarterbacks that are falling, it's also a possibility that JJ McCarthy, quarterback for Michigan, may or may not enter the draft. And he hasn't come out and said yes or no whether he's entering the draft or not. Denver currently sitting at the number 13 pick. We'll have to either draft a quarterback. We're going to have to find one on the bargain bin. It is going to be some tantalizing quarterbacks out there as far as veterans are concerned to come in. You know, maybe looking at Kirk Cousins, who will be coming off an injury. Baker Mayfield, I'm not sure whether or not he's going to re-sign in Tampa Bay. He's come out and said he does want to stay in Tampa Bay, but that's a fluid situation in itself when we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Denver is going to have to kind of roll the dice and hope they can bring in a guy. And yes, having that dead money on your cap hurts. It hurts your flexibility as a team. You're not going to be able to make the kind of moves you could make. And Russell Wilson, the state of his career, we've seen a downward, and I'm not going to say spiral because he hasn't completely fallen off the map, but he has surely fallen off from the level of play. Not just about 4 seasons ago when we were talking about Russell Wilson possibly being the MVP of the league. I want to say that he was second in the MVP race the year Lamar won it. So it's not that too long ago that Russell Wilson was looked at one of the best players, let alone quarterbacks in this league. And now he's been told to sit. And like I said, Denver, right move. They're going to cut him before August, and then they're going to designate him a post June 1st cap casualty. It kind of saves them some money, but it's still a hit. And I think it's the right move for Denver. Hey, you got a new head coach, a Super Bowl winning head coach. You just could not make it work. Yeah, we're going to talk about them boys. We're going to talk about the boys, but I wanted to kind of get the Russell Wilson news out of the way. When you watch Denver, like I said, it's been kind of a struggle offensively. They do have some talent on that side of the ball, and not Russell Wilson has played bad this year, but when you're considering the amount of money that they're paying him, you're paying him top tier, top echelon money. A lot of that money was guaranteed, and it has just not been there in his 2 seasons with Denver. Like I said, a much better year than he had last year. But when you really kind of look at it, numbers wise, he's top 10 in touchdowns, top 10 in passing yards, but you really can't tell when you watch the Denver Broncos play offense. It's been a struggle. But they haven't been able to sustain drives for good parts of the season, and that's why they have a losing record right now at this point of the season. I'm not sure what the future holds, and that's something we'll look into when we get back around to next season when we're talking about the new look of the team. But it definitely will be a new look. You've seen the end of the Russell Wilson era in Denver. Where does he go? I mean, the Raiders may be a option. It's a couple of teams that may be an option. I've been hearing reports that if Atlanta decides to move on from Desmond Ridder, which I think they should, I'd be in the market for a Russell Wilson if I was a Falcons fan. Bring a veteran quarterback in there that can get the job done. But Russell Wilson, is the era in Bronco country, Broncos ride, and all the other good stuff is over. It is over. Now let's get into last week's games. It had some big games, some big results. I'm not going to lie to you, with some eye-popping results in regards to how some of these games kind of played out. I probably want to start with the biggest game of the week, and we're talking about Ravens and 49ers. Congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens for taking care of business in a major, major way. I had San Francisco winning this game. I think a lot of people had San Francisco winning this game, considering how well San Francisco had been playing since coming off that 3-game losing streak, how they've dismantled teams when they've gotten a hold of them, and they've beaten some good teams. But what you saw against the Ravens was a Ravens team that is, I dare to say, with the best record right now in the NFL is still underrated. I've watched the Ravens throughout the season. I've been more focused on the offensive progression of Lamar with the pieces that they brought in, but that defense gets after it. That was Baltimore football, what you saw against the 49ers. And typically with the 49ers, what they're able to do against a lot of teams, they're able to be more physical than those teams. They're able to impose their will, especially on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And Baltimore was not having it. Baltimore was not having it. Brock Purdy with probably the worst game I've seen him play as a starting quarterback. And, he's had a couple bad ones, but this game here, if you watched it, Brock Purdy looked like a rookie. He looked like a deer in headlights. He looked scared. He looked scared. Ended up going out late in the game with the injury. Whether or not he is going to be in the starting lineup, I'm not sure. At the beginning of the week, I know after the game he was listed as questionable. That means Sam Darnold will be your starting quarterback, and he looked okay coming in the backup situation. But Baltimore really, really, really sent the message to the rest of the NFL, like when we play our style of football, which is a lot of run heavy. I hope you're watching Philadelphia. Hope you're watching Philadelphia. What they're doing with Lamar. Hey, we're gonna run. We're gonna do a lot of RPO. We're not gonna ask him to be throwing the ball all over the field, and we're going to play good defense. And the defense got after the 49ers. I haven't seen the 49ers. I've seen them lose some games. I've seen them lose some games this season where I was like, yeah, they didn't look good. But that was probably the worst performance I've seen so far from the San Francisco 49ers. Do I think they'll be okay? Yeah, I think they'll be fine. You was walking around punching other people in the mouth, and you ran into a bully who punches a little bit harder. And Baltimore came in there, and from the word go, it was on. It was on. They was dominating the line of scrimmage. They was getting after Brock Purdy, was not allowing Brock Purdy to get comfortable, was not allowing those receivers on the outside to get wide open lanes to run. When they was catching the ball, they was going down. It wasn't a lot of rack yards, none of that going on against that Ravens team. And that is a very talented defense. That is a very talented defense. Like I said, I've been spent most of my time this season raving about the progress of the offensive side of the ball, but that defense is just as ferocious as anybody else in the league. Onks asked me, Dots, about how much do they say, how much they're going to pay? Well, he's going to get paid, I want to say $39 million guaranteed. That's cash money. He's going to get that regardless. Reason why they sat him on, they don't want to get him injured, because if he gets injured, makes it hard to cut him before March. March is pretty much the deadline when they're going to go ahead and officially get rid of Russell Wilson. They're going to try to trade him. That's going to be kind of a hard sell, because any team that trades him, they're not going to want to take on the bulk of that remaining salary he has left on his contract. But it's a possibility. It's a possibility, but they're going to cut him. He's going to get paid. Reason why they sat him, they didn't want him to get hurt in the last two games, because then if he'd got hurt, a kicker would have kicked in, an insurance kicker would have kicked in his contract. He received I want to say like another $20 to $22 million as a roster bonus, because they would have had to keep him on the roster, because they wasn't going to be able to cut him if he was injured. So, that's why you saw them go ahead. Hey, 2 games left. We're out of the playoffs. Let's go ahead and sit him. We don't want to risk him getting hit, have an injury that's going to cost us even more money. They're on the hook for about $85 million of dead cap money once they finally cut them, and they're going to spread that out. It's going to hurt financially for Denver, but you did what you had to do. And speaking of doing what you had to do, congratulations to the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins with the big win over the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to say that I'm completely shocked. Miami is a very good team. I'm not satisfied by some of the mistakes that we was making as a Cowboys, man. Tony Pollard, you might be seeing the last of him in the Dallas Cowboys uniform this season. I can't justify giving this guy a long-term contract, can't justify giving this guy any kind of top-level running back money, and we know the running back market has dwindled over the years as far as like the amount of money these guys are getting. I don't see it. Tony Pollard he has not looked right all season. He's looked okay at some spots, but He's just not, he doesn't have it right now. Just doesn't have that burst. And credit to the Miami Dolphins for doing what they were supposed to do. At home playing against a very good Cowboys team. I still think the Cowboys are top tier in NFC, and we'll get a chance to talk about their upcoming game this Saturday. As they welcome in the Detroit Lions, who are also on. You got to put them in that conversation for maybe the best record in the NFC when it's all said and done, depending on how things shake out. But back to the Dolphins. Dolphins did what they were supposed to do. Bad news coming out of Miami, out of that game, and Jalen Waddle is not scheduled to play in the upcoming game due to an injury. I'm not sure how that affects them because, Waddle is a very good number two, but Tyreek Hill is not 800%. Right now, I think he's about 90%. He's fighting through an injury, and we'll see what Miami looks like going forward. But they look very good against the Cowboys. I can't take anything away from them. Cowboys, they had some opportunities, um, kind of let it slip away. But credit to the Dolphins for capitalizing on those mistakes and coming home. Taking the game home. Last second field goal at home and taking care of business. Cowboys still with a outside chance to possibly win a division, but it's going to be a lot harder because the Eagles, Giants, God damn it, you Giants, you Giants, you Giants, you Giants. I had you guys upsetting Philadelphia just based off how Philadelphia played, and even though Philadelphia Eagles won, 33, put up 33 points against I think a very decent Giants defense. Yeah, I'm still seeing some of the same issues that I've seen plague Philly throughout this season. Um, have a propensity like to kind of play down to the competition, not play at the level that you would expect them to play when you look at the talent on the roster. And I think Philly is what Philly is right now. I think as we get closer to the playoffs, and we're only talking about a couple of weeks left in the season, and we get close to the playoff position and playoff seeding is going to be very, very, very important. Right now, the number 5 seed, whether it be um, Dallas or Philadelphia, whoever is the number 5 seed is going to get the NFC South division winner. That'll be a road game for that team. I like my chances against the Bucks. I like my chances against the Saints, and I like my chances against the Falcons. If I'm a Cowboys fan or Eagles fan, I like my chances against them. So, like I said, playoff position is going to be very important. But congratulations to the Eagles for holding on and taking care of business. Game shouldn't have been that close. When you kind of watch it, Philadelphia played with a sense of urgency, played with a sense of rhythm in the first half. Second half, it was like we're just trying to hang on and get up out of here. And you cannot have that mentality coming down the stretch. When you are beating a team, you beat a team. Look at what Baltimore did to San Francisco. They didn't let their foot off their necks. The entire game made it tough throughout. Yeah, they got a couple scores late, but it wasn't like they was gimmies. You got to work and earn it. And Philadelphia, I've been saying it all season. It seemed doesn't look right. Jalen Hurts doesn't look right. He doesn't look like he's comfortable in this offense that they're running this year. I think it's a lot to do with his connection with the offensive coordinator, the play calling, and it just one thing I would say this: if you've been watching NFL, look at how a lot of the top offenses you're starting to see a lot of these offenses using a lot more motion. To create kind of mismatches to help the quarterback make easier reads, understanding, hey, is this man? This is cover 2, this is cover 1, this is cover 6, this is cover 4. What am I looking at? That's why you're starting to see like the wide receivers running, clear across the field behind the running back and the quarterback. They're trying to help the quarterback get a better look at the coverage that they're seeing as soon as they hike the ball. It allows passing lanes to open up a little bit easier because not only is the quarterback reading, but any good receiver worth his grain of salt is also looking to find the open holes in the zone. Philadelphia doesn't do a lot of that. Philadelphia does just a lot of we're just going to line up and hope our talent wins out. Like I said, maybe they need to start incorporating some of that into the offense in Philadelphia, and maybe that'll make Jalen Hurts' job a little bit easier. Make it a little bit easier. $85 million of dead cap. Brother said Jay, Miami been a good team and went to it. It's healthy and play. Yeah, that's the thing with Miami offensively. It's a hard team to stop, man. especially if Tua is upright. I think if you want to get to Tua, if you want to beat the Miami Dolphins, you got to get to Tua. You got to put a little pressure on them. You got to make them feel uncomfortable because Miami offensively is more of a finesse type team. And come playoff time, that's not gonna fly. That's not gonna work. That is not going to work. Playoff football is a different brand of football. You got to have a little oomph, and typically finesse teams um, don't last too long. Come playoff time, even with the Kansas City Chiefs last year, a lot of focus is putting on Mahomes and that crew, and we'll talk about them in just a second. But even with Kansas City, we want to play a little bit more physical. Than we normally do during the regular season, and it led to a championship last year. Miami, we'll see. We'll see. Um, yeah, I'm sure you got text, brother. Absurd. I'm pretty sure you got text. Y'all let me down, man. Goddamn. Speaking of being let down, what is going on in Kansas City? This is a team that is kind of stumbling down the home stretch. At one point, this team was in the hunt for the number one seed in the AFC. You can throw that out of the window. If they weren't playing in such a bad division, they might be fighting for the playoff life, might be fighting for that division life. Luckily for them, they playing a division that's kind of falling off. But congratulations to the Raiders. I think Antonio Pierce has done enough as the interim head coach. He's got these guys playing well. He got these guys playing with some pride. They're playing a little physical brand of football, especially on the defensive side. Offense got some work to do in the offseason. Got to figure out what you're going to do at quarterback going forward. I think Aiden O'Connell's cool, but I think Aiden O'Connell should be a backup, spot starter. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. The reason why people are talking about the Raiders possibly being a market for a Russell Wilson, but defense, I like what they got going on the defensive side of the ball, and a lot of the credit has to go to Antonio Pierce. He holds them guys accountable, and they got some talent on that side of the ball, and that talent is playing. Too bad for the Raiders. It's kind of like too little, too late. But I think Antonio Pierce has done enough, in my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm not an owner. These guys will do whatever they want to do. I think he's done enough to not only win the respect of the team, but win a shot at the job. I'm not saying give him a Bill Belichick type contract deal, but I think Antonio Pierce has, earned himself a good, I would say three-year contract. I would say a good three-year contract deal. To be the head coach of the Raiders and see what you got. Like I said, this has been a different team since he's taken over. This team plays hard. This team doesn't, play as soft as they was playing early in the season. And like I said, give him an opportunity. I think he's earned it. I like how this team has played down the stretch. Like I said, too little, too late. Too little. They've been playing like this early in the season. We might be having a different discussion in regards to that AFC West because Kansas City, I'd be surprised if they get back to the chip, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'd be surprised if they get back to the chip. This offense, the defense to me is fine. It's just offensively, they just don't. And I'm not even gonna say it's play calling. I think it's I don't know a collection of talent. You Patrick Mahomes and just guys is not gonna do it. Outside of Travis Kelce, outside of Rashid Rice, the pass catchers have not looked good. Pacheco has not been running the ball as efficiently as he was last year. And Kansas City Chiefs right now are looking like a team when they get to the playoffs is going to be one and done. It's going to be one and done. I don't see this Chiefs teams as currently how they're playing. I don't see them going into Baltimore and beating them. I don't really see them beating Miami. I don't see them beating Buffalo, who they've already lost to. They've got a big game coming up. I want to say against Cincinnati coming up this week. I'm not even sure if I'm picking the Chiefs in that game. And we'll get into the upcoming picks in just a little bit. I've been out of focus in on some of the other games, other big games. Some of these games I ain't going to cover. I ain't going to lie to you. But Buccaneers over the Jaguars, very good performance by Tampa Bay. Jacksonville, I've been saying it. Where is Gator Girl when you need her? She's been in hiding. I have been saying it. I have been preaching it from the mountaintop in regards to this team. This team is not to be trusted. Jacksonville is not to be trusted. It is not. How many times I got to see it out there on the field when it's money time? When it is money time, when it is time to prove you belong in that top tier of the AFC, when you trying to move into that elite class of AFC teams, time and time and time and time again, Jacksonville falls short. I don't care how much talent they have on that team, and trust me, Jacksonville is one of the more talented teams in the NFL. Time and time and time and time again, Jacksonville fails to rise to the occasion. Losing 30-12 to a Buccaneers team, and granted, Tampa Bay is playing some very good football. A lot of people are not watching them because, hey, NFC South for the most part, it's not a sexy division. It's not a lot of sexy football being played there, but Tampa Bay is playing winning football. Tampa Bay is playing winning football. Those receivers are making plays for Mayfield. They're keeping things simple for Mayfield, and that defense has been balling out. That veteran defense that they have in Tampa Bay has been balling out, and you saw it on display against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I don't know why Gator Girl got so much faith in them boys. I don't know. Maybe because she likes Sunshine, aka Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. I just know I wouldn't put my house on my money on Jacksonville to beat anybody. Speaking of teams that are surprising people, I talked about the Cleveland Browns coming into this season. I said, hey, when you look at the talent that Cleveland has on both sides of the football, it is a team to be respected. And if Cleveland wasn't playing in the same division as a red hot Baltimore team, Cleveland will be one of the best teams in the AFC. They will be one of the best teams in the AFC, taking care of business. Joe Flacco is looking so comfortable in this offense. This offense has been explosive since he's kind of taken over. Man, I'm not going to, I like Deshaun Watson, but Deshaun Watson wasn't giving us this kind of play for Browns fans, especially as consistently as Flacco has. Games look so much easier. This offense is explosive. The defense is always coming to play. I'd be scared if I was one of those top teams in the AFC. I do not want to see Cleveland Browns coming to my house come playoff time. They have the talent, they have the mentality to go into anybody's house and knock your block off. This is a team that, outside of Baltimore, I had to kind of rank them. I mean, Cleveland, one of my top tier teams right now in the AFC. I mean, I would probably take Cleveland over Miami right now. Just how Cleveland's been playing, and that defense, they got the defense to get after a quarterback. People have been talking about. You know what? I hate being a prophet. Sometimes I'll be right, sometimes I'll be wrong, and I was kind of right about the Cleveland Browns. I said this was going to be one of those teams to watch coming into the season. When you look at the talent on the roster, and I'll be goddamn, this team is not playing as such. Cleveland's going to be a hard out come playoff time. Speaking of a hard outcome playoff time, Detroit Lions, who the Dallas Cowboys will be seeing this upcoming weekend, taking care of business against a Minnesota team that is all over the place when it comes to the quarterback position. Detroit, they've looked good the last couple of weeks, but I'm still, kind of concerned about some of the issues. And I'm be honest, as a Cowboys fan, I hope those, issues, rear their ugly heads Saturday when they play the Cowboys. But Detroit, taking care of business, winning the division, locking that up, still with an outside chance to sneak in and take over the number one seed in the NFC. If Detroit was playing a little bit more consistently, I might want to ride them, make a deep run into the playoffs, but I'm not. It's parts of me that's just not like what I see when I watch Detroit. It's just not as consistent as they were early in the season. This game shouldn't have been as close as it was. I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched it. Vikings had no business even making this a game, but it ended up being that. And it's the NFL any given Sunday. But that's with the mess that they got in Minnesota as far as the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins is out. Nick Mullins was the quarterback. Now they're going to be starting the rookie Hall. Josh Dobbs has been sent into the shadow realm. You shouldn't have been that close. Shouldn't have been that close. Go over some of the other big games, big results. Before we move forward with the next week's games, let me take a quick peek here. Patriots over the Broncos. Yeah, whatever. Neither team's making the playoffs anyway. Colts losing on the road to the Falcons. Falcons sneaky. I mean, I'm not afraid of those NFC South teams, but I respect them. I respect them. Atlanta finally made a decision to go ahead and stick with Taylor Heineke for the remainder of the season, barring an injury. And I like what they got in Atlanta. I like what they got in Atlanta. Top 10 defense, viable running game, a passing game. When they got a functioning quarterback in there, special teams is good. One of the best kickers in the league. It's not it's not much to really hate on the Falcons. I'm just, your season could have been so much goddamn better if you'd have got rid of Desmond Ritter. You paid Tyler Heineke that top tier backup money. Should have let his ass get in there. You've seen what you need to see from Desmond Ritter. He's not the quarterback of the future. Be a good backup on some teams, not the quarterback of the future. Atlanta, still with an outside chance to win the division. Still in the hunt for a playoff spot. Big win against a Colts team who, at this point of the season in the AFC cannot afford to lose. I told you 10-7. It's going to be a 10-17. Our team with a winning record is not going to be able to get into the playoffs. It's that jam-packed still in the AFC. Speaking of the AFC, Pittsburgh Steelers, taking care of business. Taking care of business. It's a Bengals team who came in pretty hot, was riding, Jake Browning, who's had two good performances before that performance he put out there last weekend against the Steelers. Cincinnati, you're still fighting for your playoff lives. So are the Pittsburgh Steelers. These are games you cannot afford to lose. These games, if you consider yourself a playoff team, I understand Joe Burrow is not in there. He's hurt. He's gone for the year, but he wasn't in there the last two games, and you won. And you allowed a Steelers team that has struggled to put up points, struggled to move the ball. You allowed this team to put up 34 on you. You allowed this team to put up 34 on you. Credit that to Pittsburgh's defense, giving the offense, time, a lot more possessions in this game. Pittsburgh, I'm not sure if you make the playoffs, but it was a good win. It was a good win and a good sign. We'll see if you can continue to play like that. Mason Rudolph look way more comfortable in the pocket than Trubisky. So a smart move by Tomlin going with Rudolph, who's been there, who knows the system. We'll see. Will Rudolph finish the season as a starter? I would. I mean, I've seen enough of Trubisky in his NFL career to know that, hey, this dude is a backup. And if you expecting this guy to go out there and start win games for you in this league, something's wrong with you. Something is really wrong with you. Seahawks over the Titans. Not gonna spend too much on that. Packers last second, overtime win against Carolina Panthers, game that shouldn't have been that close. But it became a game because, the Packers are what the Packers are. Is, an inconsistent team. Speaking of one of the consistent teams in the NFL, and I don't know, eventually, the rest of you guys will get on board what I've been saying about them. The Los Angeles Rams are taking care of business at home against the Saints last Thursday. I told you the Rams got something going on there. Got something going on there. What's going on, Spot them? They got something going on there in LA. National media is not really talking about it. I'm pretty sure they're talking about it locally, but I've been liking what I'm seeing out of the Rams. I've been liking what I'm seeing out of the Rams. I'm not going to say this is a championship team, but they have a championship pedigree. When you talk about the head coach, the quarterback, and some of the remaining players on that team, they have a pedigree there in Los Angeles, and they're playing very good football. That's another team. I don't. It's going to be a hard outcome playoff time. I don't see the team, barring injury, going away into the night. And that kind of wraps up. Well, Bills over the Chargers. Bills, made it a game when it shouldn't have been a game, but that's neither here nor there. But let's move forward to the upcoming weeks. Like I said, it's some big games, and we're talking about teams jockeying for playoff positioning and things of that sort. Of course, you have the game tonight. Jets going into Cleveland. I expect Cleveland to win that one. Granted, the Jets do have a very good defense. Flacco may struggle a little bit, but I can't have the faith in the Jets with their issues that they having on the offensive side of the ball. I'm gonna pick against them for the for the remainder of the season until you can get a quarterback till you can show me you can consistently move the ball. I'm gonna pick against you. Sorry, not sorry. But I got Browns winning, taking care of business at home, staying in that hunt, um, in the AFC and applying pressure. That's Cleveland. Keep your eye on Cleveland, y'all. Keep your eye on Cleveland. Game I'm really excited to watch. The only Saturday game, prime time. Cowboys finally come back home after losing two straight, two tough games. You get beat down in Buffalo, and you lose a close game against Miami. Back home, playing against the Detroit Lions, who come in on their 2-game winning streak. Both teams have been inconsistent as of late, but the Lions have won their last two. But it's something about Dallas at home is it is a different team. I don't know what it is when we hit the road. It's like the game don't travel all the way with us on the road, but when we're at home, it's a different ball game. Of course, I'm picking the boys. Come on, I'm picking the boys. This will be a good test. This will be a good test for both teams to kind of see where you at in regards to the NFC. I still think the San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the NFC. But if we're talking about who is second best, it's kind of like a three-way tie. You got Lions, you got Cowboys, you got Eagles, and the Lions and the Cowboys get it on Saturday, to kind of stake their claim to, hey, we are a force to be reckoned with coming down the stretch. Cowboys still with an outside chance to win the division. I don't too much care about winning the division. If you're not getting the number one seed in the NFC, it don't really mean shit to me. So we're kind of played ourselves out of that. Unless something drastically happens over the last 2 weeks, we're out of that race. Excuse me, I give me a little water. Let's look at some of the Sunday games. You got Texans and Titans. Texans outside chance to still make the playoffs. I'm not sure if CJ Stroud will be playing. Tennessee, have no, they're only playing spoiler at this point in the season. Divisional game. Stroud plays. I got Texans. Stroud don't play. I got Titans. I got Titans in that one. Not gonna spend too much time focusing on that one because even if the Texans make the playoffs, I think they're one and done. So I'm not gonna spend too much time festering on them. Falcons fans, Falcons and Bears. Oh, you Bears fans! I know you're out there somewhere, already doing your mock drafts and that kind of stuff. Will you keep Justin Fields or not? It's my opinion. Go ahead, keep him. Draft some talent around him and really see what you have there with them. But I'm not the GM. But you got Falcons on the road going up to Chicago, early 1 o'clock game. Falcons still fighting for the division in the NFC South, still fighting for a playoff position in the NFC. And they're not starting Desmond Ridder at quarterback. So I'm picking Falcons. Nothing against Chicago. I've been trying to be a supporter of Justin Fields all season. I think they've been misusing him. And now tailoring the offense to him. Yeah, you guys know I've been talking about play calling all year long, especially when we're talking about Chicago Bears. I think this will be another typical Bears performance. Justin Fields, has been up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and I like what Atlanta's got going on there. I like the pieces that they got, and I like how the team has been playing, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think the defensive side of the ball is going to give Justin Fields some problems. That's just my thought. But I got Falcons taking care of business on the road. Probably the biggest matchup this upcoming weekend, or also with a 1 o'clock kickoff. The finesse Miami Dolphins go into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens coming off the beat down and all around aggravated assault on the San Francisco 49ers this past week. Welcome in a Dolphins team with a lot at stake in this game. Baltimore has not clinched the number one seed. I think with the victory here, if I'm not mistaken, a victory here over the Dolphins, they go ahead and cinch in that number one seed in the AFC. Dolphins still with an outside chance to get the number one seed. I think number one seed in the AFC is going to be a lot more important than it is in the NFC. Ravens, it's a different kind of a challenge, but I expect the Ravens to come and play ball. Lamar has been, quietly, making his MVP case throughout the season. I think the defense gets after Tua. I think they make Tua very uncomfortable. Like I said earlier in the show, no Jalen Waddle, so that means even more attention is going to be paid to Tyreek Hill. They have the coverage on Baltimore side, and when we're talking about the secondary in regards to trying to contain Tyreek Hill. But I think that pass rush is going to be able to kind of get the Tua. He's going to make some mistakes. And I expect Baltimore to dominate time of possession in this one and take care of business at home. Take care of business home, wrap up the number one seed, look to rest players, going into the off season. No, excuse me, the postseason. Excuse me. Woo, yeah, long day. But yeah, I got Ravens. Another big matchup, maybe not on the scale of the Dolphins, Ravens. You got Saints and Buccaneers. Saints right there, along with the Atlanta Falcons, and right there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, fighting for the number one spot in that division. Tampa Bay has looked good. Saints kind of hit or miss. But any given Sunday, as you always know, a part of me wants to say, okay, can you ask me a question about Mac Jones? Yeah, go ahead. What is your question about Mac Jones? it won't be long. I think I'll wait to your question, but I'll come back to it. But get back into this Buccaneers Saints game. Part of me wants to pick the Saints because they'll be high, they'll be low, coming off a loss against a very good Rams team. On the road against Tampa Bay, traditionally, man, it's kind of a hard game. Even though I've liked how Tampa Bay has looked the last couple games. Something about the Saints and the Bucks when they meet up is always a different kind of a game, and I think Baker Mayfield is due for a bit of a flop game, and I got Saints. I got Saints in this one. I think it'll be a very close game, very competitive game throughout. But I think Baker Mayfield is due for a subpar performance. I know I could be wrong, but I think he's his track record has shown, his history since he's been in the league has shown. After a couple good games, he'll have a stinker. I don't think it'll be that bad of a stinker. But I think this is the week, and can ill afford to be losing games, especially in this division. But I got them losing. Against the Saints. Saints, fighting for their playoff lives, and I think whoever wins this division is just lining themselves up to get beat. Beating the playoffs, one and done team anyway. But still, I got Saints in this one. I think I said Mayfield is due for a subpar performance. Okay, so your question is, if you're Mac Jones and you had to pick, keep playing football, have Nick Saban help you get stable job at University of Alabama, what would you do? I think Mac Jones still has a future in the league. I think he has a future in the league. Now, do I think Mac Jones is a MVP caliber quarterback? I mean, in the right system, you could be. I mean, but it's not that many systems that he can actually go to right now. If he's going to be probably looking for a future home. If I was him, I'd go ahead ask for my release. It's clear you're not in New England's long-term plans as long as Belichick is the head coach. He doesn't know what to do with you. Belichick doesn't know jack shit about offense. And if I'm Mac Jones, I mean, the coaching jobs will be there. The coaching jobs will be there once he's done playing. I think it's too early to kind of write him off because, he had a very good rookie season. Despite the lack of talent around him. And it's not like they've upgraded the talent around him since he's been the quarterback there in New England. I think, Mac Jones, hey, if I'm the Raiders, if I'm one of these, if I'm the Broncos, see what I can get for Mac Jones. You're in the market for a quarterback. It's obvious. As long as Belichick's the head coach, Mac Jones is not part of his future, doesn't see him as part of his future. And if I'm Mac Jones, why do I want to keep playing in New England? You guys have not put weapons around me. The offensive line is mid at best. No receivers. You let your best receiver walk in free agency, and Jacoby Myers, you let him go. The run game has been, for the most part, non-existent. For Mac Jones, get me out of here. I'm pretty sure Trey Lance went for what, a 5th round pick to the Cowboys. I think Mac Jones can probably fetch you. How some of these teams are going to be quarterback needy this upcoming offseason. You might be able to squeeze a fourth out of a team. I think Mac Jones, if he gets traded, probably be for a fifth, but you may be able to squeeze a fourth round pick. You're not getting more than that for him. You're not getting more than that for him. Sorry, not sorry, but I think Matt Jones still has a future in the league. You just got to be in the right kind of a system. You got to put talent around him. That's one thing he had when he was at Alabama that allowed him to be looked at as the player he ended up being drafted as. Is he had a lot of talent. Mac Jones kind of reminds me of Brock Purdy. You put Brock Purdy in New England, he doesn't play MVP level, guaranteed. Doesn't play it. With a quarterback like that, give Mac Jones some talent. Give Mac Jones some talent. And I think if you put him in the right kind of system, get him with a good offensive coordinator, he can still make some noise. He can still make some noise. Okay, and your other question is your other question is why do you think Nick Saban players are leaving New England saying, you know what, you're not the leader bill like Saban is, so I'm out. The New England Patriots culture, it worked when Tom Brady was there. It was easier to get guys to buy in to the Patriot, quote unquote, the Patriot way, because one of the best players of our generation and maybe the greatest quarterback of all time bought into it. When you don't have that caveat, you don't have that cachet with players. Like when you look at the New England Patriots, who on that team outside of maybe Matthew Judon is looked at as one of the best players at his position, who is looked at like that. And it's hard to get guys to come in and want to play for a guy. And Tom Brady was the buffer. Tom Brady was the buffer. It allowed Belichick, excuse me, to build the Patriot way. Without Brady, you see what you get. Guys are just not buying that mess wholesale, and it's part of the reason why I think, in my opinion, Belichick, go ahead, retire, leave gracefully. If you don't leave gracefully, I got a good feeling that Robert Kraft is going to be looking to move on from you. You've done nothing since Brady has left. And you can have no one to blame because you pick the players. You picking the coach staff. You are, in the words of Bill Parcells, you are the one buying the groceries. And no one else to blame but yourself. You're the one that's evaluating these guys. You're the one making the draft decisions. It all ends with you. And if I'm Kraft, if Belichick doesn't voluntarily go out the door, I help him pack his bags. It's time for a new voice in New England. The Patriot way under Bill Belichick does not work anymore. So hopefully that answers your questions. It's been on the field scout assistant. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, off the field scandals, on the field scandals, deflated balls. You still, I'm not gonna lie to you. Brady has received some questionable help in getting there, but the man knows how to win. The man knows how to win, and whether you think it's questionable to go through a season and routinely have your team in the discussion for the Super Bowl year after year after year after year. Yeah, there's been some on-field scandals, but at the end of the day, your play on the field elevates you. Now, he takes a ding for it, but it's hard to argue with the level of success year after year after year after year after year. It's hard. They know how to win that cheat. I can agree with that. Bill Belichick is notorious for finding any loophole in the rule book that he can find. I will agree with that. And I should have did this early in the show. I have got to remember where I'm at when I'm doing my shows over here. But let me get into the rest of these games. Like I said, I got Saints over the Buccaneers. Get back to that. You got Bills, Patriots. Speaking of those Patriots, nothing to play for other than play spoiler. Bills team at home, coming off very good look against the Cowboys. questionable kind of play against the Chargers. Um, Traditionally, this is always been a kind of a competitive series, and Belichick maybe spend a little extra time in the film room trying to find ways to confuse Josh Allen, and you might be in for an upset. I'm not picking it. I think the Bills are way too focused, and I think they're going to have their eye while they're playing the Patriots. Going to be looking at that 1 o'clock kickoff game because they're playing at the same time. They're going to be looking at the scoreboard watching, and see what the Ravens are doing to the Dolphins, because Buffalo still has a game against Miami. If Miami goes up here and wins in Baltimore, how much emphasis are you going to put into that game? Will you be resting players for that game? We'll see. But for this week, I got Bills clearly over the Patriots. And you got, let's see, moving on to the next game, you got Eagles and Cardinals. Eagles coming off a, not so impressive win. Coming off a not so impressive win to stop their skid late part of the season. Not so impressive win against the Giants, playing against a Cardinals team, going to be at home. Cardinals team, I've been saying this, not a lot of talent, but the team plays hard. Team goes out there and competitive. Even when they lost to the 49ers, went out there and competed, played as well as they could, landed some blows on San Francisco. I'm not picking up upset in this one either. I think that the Eagles take care of business at home. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot closer game than a lot of people may think. I know people are looking at the Cardinals record and thinking they're going to get smoked. But trust me, I've seen them up close in person. I've watched them a couple times this year. This is a team that plays hard for all 4 quarters. So, you got a fight on your hands. Eagles, you thought the Seahawks was going to be a smooth ride, and you see how that kind of turned out. We'll see. Let's see. The first quarter is going to tell a lot about the flow of that game. It's going to tell a lot about the flow of that game. Cleveland is putting the beating on the Jets. I'm not surprised. That's why I kind of started the show late. I'm not surprised. The way Cleveland's been playing, be on the lookout. You heard it here first. Be on the lookout. I've been telling y'all since the offseason. Go back, study the game tapes. Study the game tapes. Speaking of studying the game tapes, Jaguars have a chance to kind of right their season against the Panthers. I think they take care of business at home. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that one. I think the Panthers are just playing out the fiddle, not necessarily trying to play spoiler. Defense has been playing pretty well of late, but offense has still been I think Jacksonville, makes this a quote unquote statement game, and it'll get people like the Gator Girls of the world, back in my comment section talking about those Jaguars and be on the lookout for them. Yeah, okay. Beating the Panthers is who damn near who hasn't done it this year. Moving on from that, Raiders and Colts. Colts still with an outside chance of making the playoffs. Raiders, mathematically, if all hell falls, breaks loose, maybe. But I like the Raiders in this one. I like the Raiders on the road. I like how Antonio Pierce has got this team playing. The team plays hard. It might be kind of a struggle offensively at times for the Raiders, but I will say this about their defense. The defense has come on late. The defense has been playing lights out. And the Colts, even though this is a must-win game, they're at home. Gardner Minshew is, you're kind of like the Baker Mayfield of the AFC. You are what you are at the end of the day. It's only so much, scheming we can do, play calling. It's only so much we can do to kind of mask your limitations. And like I said, the way the Raiders have been playing, they're playing to make sure that Antonio Pierce has the best looking resume walking into the door. When they do interviews for the head coaching position, like I said, Antonio Pierce gets my vote for head coach just off the way that the Raiders have looked out there on the field since he's taken over. What other games is kind of jumping out of me? I'm gonna hurry up, trying to get out here and catch some of this beat down. Rams, Giants. I got the Rams taking care of business against the Giants. I'm not sure what the hell they're doing at the quarterback position. I think Tyrod Taylor may be starting. I'm not sure. This has been a mess in New York, and They had like a little stretch there where they had hope for possibly sneaking into the playoffs, but I think that's kind of going out the window. And I think the Rams take care of business. Rams are quietly, letting putting teams on notice. And if you're not watching, the Rams gonna mess around. I would love to see a Rams Eagles playoff matchup. I would love to see that. That would be a good matchup. I would pick the Rams in that one. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would pick the Rams in that one based off how they played this year, and especially down the stretch. Rams have been, one of the better looking teams in the NFC. But I got them take care of business. Get the Giants, 49ers, get their respect back. Get their ass up off the ground after getting beat down against Baltimore. Going into Washington, I think they take care of business handily. Kind of like a game to kind of get yourself back on track. You still hold all the chips as far as the NFC is concerned. Went out, you get the number one seed in the NFC, and I think the 49ers want everybody to come through San Fran, which is not a bad place to play. Late in the year, but 49ers take care of business against the Commanders. Bengals and Chiefs. We talked about this a little bit early in the show. Bengals coming off a loss, very bad loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chiefs coming off a loss also against the Raiders. Chiefs, considering the circumstances, when I look at the rosters, Bengals out there with Jake Browning, Chiefs out there with Patrick Mahomes, but you know what? I got Bengals in this one. I just have not looked. I have not liked how Kansas City has looked over the last month and a half or so, and I haven't liked how they looked for the majority of the season. This team is just, I don't know, something's going on there. Something going on there. You start to see guys getting frustrated on the sideline. Start to see Patrick Mahomes get frustrated with his wide receivers, and rightfully so, man. Like, I mean, a catch here or a catch there, and we're having a very different conversation at this point of the season when we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. But his pass catchers, like I said, outside of Kelsey, outside of Rashee Rice, have severely let him down this year. And I think the Bengals understand that, hey, they still have an opportunity to possibly make the playoffs. I think Jake Browning, I don't think he goes buck wild because Kansas City has a very good defense, but I think he makes enough plays to beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs lose at home. And questions will continue to linger in Kansas City going into the postseason. Kansas City looking like a one and done team to me, man. But it all depends on the matchups when we talk about the AFC. But I'd be hard pressed to find one of the top teams. Chiefs will be the division winner, get a home game. I can see Cleveland going in there and whooping that ass. Steelers on a good day, maybe going in there beating them. Kansas City has looked off, man. Has looked off all season. So I got Bengals in this one. To kind of wrap up the rest of the week's upcoming games, you have Steelers and Seahawks. I got Seahawks in this one. I got Seahawks at home. They play better at home. Steelers, it's my dark horse pick coming into the season. I just can't, I can't trust y'all guys, you guys that had the same kind of performance that you had last week against the Bengals. I just can't. Unc says the Chiefs are too arrogant. Maybe they are too arrogant. I don't even know if it's arrogance. I think overestimating the personnel that they have on the offensive side of the ball. Patrick Mahomes, as great as a quarterback he is, he's got to have some talent out there at the receiving position. Like, it ain't got to be, you can't have, every team can't have a Tyreek Hill, but if you ask Patrick Mahomes, I bet he misses Juju from last year. I bet you he misses Juju. It wasn't like Juju was top flight receiver, but I bet you he misses Juju making those consistent plays over and over again. Kadarius Toney, I let him go. Talented guy, but I let him go. He just, I don't know, he's not locked in this season. But yeah, I got Bengals. I got Bengals in that one. I got Seahawks over the Steelers. Chargers, Broncos, throw it in the trash. I'm not watching that. Then you got Packers and Vikings. Both teams still outside shots to make the playoffs. I don't know what the hell the Vikings are doing at the quarterback position. They will be starting a rookie. Yeah, so, and then for that reason, I'm taking Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. No Monday night game. Of course, y'all know New Year's and all that good stuff. And after this week, we have the final week of the season. Then we'll be talking about the playoffs. We'll be talking about the playoffs. Looking forward to it. Looking excited to it. A little bit of housekeeping before I end out here. Be tuned in tomorrow. I will be doing a show around the same time. Not really a Freestyle Friday, but I do want to do something kind of like an NBA update. You know, we are getting, we just had the Christmas Day games, getting closer to the All-Star break. So I just kind of want to do a break from the norm of the football and do a basketball centric show, to kind of talk about, what's been going on in the league. Major storylines, talk about the Detroit Pistons and their situation, what they got going on, and all that kind of stuff is going on in the league. Update on the Draymond Green situation. So we'll be doing that tomorrow over here, around the same time, 7:30, 8 o'clock. We'll be doing that over here. Of course, year-end special over in the other space, putting a little something together. But like I said, appreciate everybody for taking the time to tune in and listen to me, man. Hey, as always, like, share, subscribe, leave comments, and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you tune in for the shows. If you're not following me on Twitter, God of Dots on Twitter. I try to share my shows. I ain't doing a whole lot of posts, but I like to go back and forth with the fans on there. Especially after Cowboys games, because I'll be active. But yeah, make sure y'all tune in tomorrow for that show. And of course, next week we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel. And like I said, I may be spending some more time over here than usual. I will be probably adding some more shows to the rotation. Maybe NBA Friday may become like the new thing. Kind of switch it up from the Freestyle Friday. Maybe we'll do NBA Friday until I dive deep into the NBA season. And as always, thank you. Enjoy for the phrase that pays over here. And somebody let me know, was the music distracting? I'm just trying to add a little stuff to the show. Let me know if it was distracting to you or, maybe something else. But then you offer the phrase that pays over here. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.